everyone, welcome back to the Imperial Minis channel. This is Randall, and thanks for joining us today for Battle Report number 29 in our A Song of Ice and Fire Battle Report series. In this match, I play against a local player named Geoff, who's been featured before on the channel. We randomly picked a game mode and came up with Honed and Ready. For this battle, I'll be playing a Brotherhood Army led by Thoros of Myr, and I'll be squaring off against Geoff's Lannister Army led by the High Sparrow. Now let's quickly look at the army list before moving into deployment and my initial plans and assumptions. Alright, for my list, I've gone fairly wide here, with a total of 8 activations. The whole centerpiece of my army, really, and the thing I was just building around, was the Golden Company War Elephant. So ever since Thoros of Myr was revealed and his cards were shown, I've had this dream of running a Golden Company War Elephant, mostly because of a combination of the Fiery Charge tactics card, which gives the elephant a guaranteed 12-inch charge, and then Thoros of Myr's Faith ability, that when an enemy fails a panic test, you can heal one of your units. So to me, it seemed like a pretty good way to throw an elephant in somebody's face and then have that elephant get heals after it forces enemies to fail panic tests. So that's kind of what I was going for here. I also wanted to bring a ranged unit for sure, because I wanted to be able to fire into my own melees to give Thoros additional faith tokens. So between the archer unit, the elephant, and the Golden Company officer, there was a requirement for the elephant, and then 3 NCUs. It didn't give me a ton of options to kind of build around from there. I could either go with 2 slightly more elite infantry units for Thoros and the Golden Company officer and leave it as a 7 activation list, or I could go really cheap on my infantry and maybe squeeze in a cavalry unit. So I went super cheap on the infantry here. Gang up does help the elephant, though. Part of the dream here that I think I achieved in my last elephant video, which I believe was a Targaryen one in a Marcelin list, was getting that elephant charge or that elephant attack into a gang up, so you get the additional unblockable dice. So yeah, here we've got 2 peasant units. So Thoros and the Golden Company officers unit are going to be extremely squishy. Then I've got the Ghost of Highheart, Ravella Smallwood, and then Peter Baelish. Peter Baelish is here not because I'm concerned about crown control, which is a reason you would often bring Peter in a Brotherhood army. He's here really just to allow me to get extra shots with the Brawn archers. So the plan with him is that I can use Peter Baelish to, take a zone, like the maneuver zone or some zone that I may not care terribly about but not want Geoff to have, and then have him take the benefit of the sword zone, take a free attack, and then if Geoff goes and claims the sword or the bag, then I can hop on whichever one he didn't take, claim it with my next NCU, and then shoot again with the archers. So I'm hoping to really do some machine gunning work with the archers here in this list, but the centerpiece of the army is definitely the Golden Company War Elephant. It's a janky list, I know, but it's a list archetype that I've had in my mind since we first saw Thoros revealed. Alright, now let's look at Geoff's list. Alright, Geoff's list is definitely more elite than my list. The kind of trashiest units he has are the crossbowmen and the guardsmen. Guardsmen are probably 100% going to be just sitting on a point on an objective for most of the game, I assume. Crossbowmen shooting sundering shots into my army. Joke's on him, though. Most of my army has absolutely no armor at all, so, in your face, Geoff. But the core of his army are these 2 extremely intimidating units of Casterly Rock Honor Guard. So one of them has the High Sparrow in it, so High Sparrow is radiating out a +1 morale bubble around him, so his unit's going to be a 4+ morale save. If the other one is near him, he's going to also be a 4+, and then he's going to have Intimidating Presence, in addition to possibly picking up Vicious off of his own unit ability. And the other Honor Guard has Meryn Trant in it, so if Geoff controls the crown, which he's always going to whenever Joffrey's on the board, Meryn Trant is going to throw 2 tokens onto one of my units. So he synergizes perfectly with the Casterly Rock Honor Guard, because he's going to guarantee that Honor Guard unit is going to always get 3 of those special abilities that they have. So Meryn Trant really makes this unit like extra brutal, especially with Joffrey here, because Joffrey's always going to give him that bonus. Um, and then on the NCU side, he's got Pycelle as a source of more tokens to throw more tokens at me. He's got Tyrion to give him more card draw, have more of a chance to have those cards he needs to stop what I'm going to do, or have the High Sparrow get his cards that are very situational but very useful. And then Joffrey, like I said, he's there to guarantee crown control and then possibly add additional panic wounds to my guys. So Geoff's list it's definitely more elite and very scary, and looking like it'll be very hard to shift if I can't get like really juicy elephant charges or flank attacks with my cavalry. All right, now we're going to look at our deployments. So Geoff's got his infantry corps smack dab in the center of the table there. Not a bad idea. Even if any of them gets flanked by one of my units, they're still going to be pretty durable. He's got those guardsmen over there on that far objective. They're almost certainly going to just march onto that thing and sit there all game. He could have possibly put his crossbowmen on that side to kind of hide them behind those stakes, but that may have put them too far out of the action to be shooting anything, or it would make it a lot easier for me to get out of their line of sight or their range. As excuse me, as they're right next to the High Sparrow, so he can kind of cover them a little bit. But I've put my archers across from them to hopefully get into a little bit of a ranged duel and use Deceitful Reposition to duck out of range of them. I think this is my first time using the archers in the Brotherhood archers, so we'll see if I'm skillfully using that order or not. But his shots are definitely going to be hurting more than mine are. He's got Sundering. Now the archers don't have any armor anyway, but the crossbowmen have a 4+ armor save, so a lot of my arrows are going to be plinking off of them. All of his are going to be, well, most of his are probably going to be going home into wounds. I've got Thoros up the center there, and the other unit of peasants on that side, so I can use them to maybe scoop up an objective or two as they march forward. I've got the elephant right there in front of the forest, so I'm probably going to put that elephant up there in the forest until he's ready to dive in, just to kind of protect him a little bit, so if he gets charged, he'll get a little bit of extra armor. So now let's go look at the initial plan. So the initial plan here, nothing too crazy. Like I said, the elephant's going to move into the forest probably and kind of hang there for the right moment to charge in. Thoros, he's going to move up the center and maybe eventually take that center point if it looks safe enough to. The archers will move up and then kind of screen that center, the whole center there, to get hopefully the crossbowmen in range and then the High Sparrow in range, so I can maybe get some flank shots on the High Sparrow to trigger the Brotherhood archers' ability to get precision and vicious. And then the Golden Company peasants, they're probably going to go over there and take that point, at least for round 2, while staying in range of the Golden Company elephant. And then maybe swing around the flank to attack the Marin Trant unit. If Marin Trant kind of gets engaged, then maybe I'll try to flank them. And then the Riders of Highgarden are kind of my biggest question mark here. You know, I could run them onto that objective and scoop up that objective, but they're probably not going to want to stay there for long because taking hits on a 5+ armor unit can get really dangerous very quickly. So I'll have to figure out whether I want to just stay there for one round or whether I want to risk getting extra points but possibly losing that unit. And then if I move them off that point, I may kind of flank them into the center where maybe the crossbowmen will be at that point, and hopefully get some value out of them. And here's my assumption of Geoff's most likely course of action. I've kind of walked through it already in the deployment discussion, but I'm assuming that the High Sparrow is just going to jump into that center, up to that center point, and try to hold it. That his crossbowmen will cover them, shoot any of my units that are engaged with him. And then the Marin Trant Honor Guard, they're either going to support the High Sparrow and just pile in to the center and just try to crush my center, or they're going to hang back a little bit maybe, because he might be a little bit worried about what that elephant's going to do. you know, a lot of folks are a little bit, you know, worried about getting charged in the face by an elephant. I mean, I would be too, but it tends to kind of put people off a little bit, same as if they're staring down the barrel of a dragon. So it's possible he'll kind of hang Marin Tramp back a little bit just to have a little bit of a standoff on that flank. But then those Lannister guardsmen are for sure 100% just going to march onto that objective and just sit there probably. All right, now for this game we're going to be continuing to do our kind of abbreviated battle report format. I've done that for the last couple of battle reports now, last 2 or 3. It's seemed to have worked out well. It cuts down the length of them quite a bit. I think most people enjoy that format more. It's a lot more work on the editing and prep side, but I think it really is probably more beneficial for the viewers. So considering the number of hours that it will save people watching it, it's definitely worth the extra effort. And I don't have any other notes before we play the game, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. For the first activation of the game, Geoff activates Joffrey NCU and claims the Tactics Zone. He draws 2 cards and places a weakened token on my archers. Geoff forgets to place Joffrey's influence effect on one of my units, but it doesn't end up making a difference this round. I activate the Ghost of Highheart NCU and claim the Maneuver Zone. I place her influence effect on my archers and use the free maneuver to push my archers forward 6 inches. Geoff activates Tyrion NCU and claims the swords, blocking me from using it later for a free shot from my archers. Next, I activate Ravella NCU and claim the Wealth Zone, removing the weakened token from my archers. Geoff activates Pycelle NCU, claiming the Crown Zone and selecting my Riders of Highgarden to take a panic test at -1, needing a 7+ to pass. Here for visibility purposes.
Okay,
and just got it. I activate Thoros' unit of peasants, boldly marching them up a full 10 inches. Geoff activates the Lannister Guardsmen and marches them forward just short of the bottom left objective. I activate the Golden Company Elephant, marching it forward into the forest. Geoff next activates Marin Trant's Honor Guard unit, marching them forward. I activate my Golden Company Peasants, marching them forward alongside the elephant. At the start of Geoff's turn, I use the Brotherhood Archer's Deceitful Reposition order to maneuver them 3 inches forward. Geoff then marches his High Sparrow Honor Guard unit forward in line with his other Honor Guard unit. Next, I activate the Brotherhood Archers and declare a ranged attack against the High Sparrow's unit. I am just in long range, so I do not take a 2-inch shift before firing.
That's all of them. So, for 3+. I'm good, except for 1. So, then I am on 5s.
Yep, and Bolden and that cancel each other out.
Yep, 5. So, lose another.
Geoff activates his crossbowmen and marches them forward in mutual range of my archers. For my last activation, I have my Riders of Highgarden. I internally debate for a minute or two whether to move them up to the bottom right objective and score that point for round 2, while keeping watch on my archers, or whether to end a round with the Riders bolting toward the other flank as quickly as possible and supporting the elephant and the peasants on my right flank. Ultimately, I decide the distance is too great to the right flank, so I move the Riders up to that bottom objective. Between rounds, I discard Thoros' The Last Kiss card, deciding I'm not likely to need that card until later rounds of the game. For my first activation of the round, I activate Peter and place him on the maneuver zone to block Geoff from using it. I then use a Peter token to gain the effect of the swords and attack the crossbowmen with my Brotherhood Archers. 7 dice on 3s.
Okay, good roll again. Looking at 4s. Oh my. Don't want to see that.
Geoff thinks for a moment whether to use his Protection of the Father tactics card to auto-block some of the hits, but he decides to save that card for later.
On 7s, because I'm pretty sure I'm close enough to that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good.
All right. At the start of the enemy turn, I use my archer's deceitful reposition order to scoot out of range of the Lannister crossbowmen. After doing this, I realize I likely wasted a Peter token because I may no longer be in range to shoot anything appetizing with those archers this round during their activation. It may have been smarter to just absorb a shot from the crossbowmen in order to be able to shoot them again. Geoff next activates Pycelle NCU using one of his tokens to weaken my Riders of Highgarden. Pycelle then claims the Wealth Zone, restoring 3 wounds to the crossbowmen. I activate the Ghost of Highheart NCU and claim the Tactics Zone. I then throw a weakened token on the crossbowmen, but I forget to influence one of my own units until later in the round. I later will influence Thoros' peasants. Geoff next activates Joffrey NCU, claiming the crown, placing his influence on my riders, and then crown zapping them at a -1, so they'll be a 7+. So on a 7.
Okay, so that's 2 wounds.
2. I activate Ravella NCU and claim the swords, even though I have no units able to attack. Doing this costs Geoff an NCU activation, but prevents him from costing me an NCU activation and shooting my peasants with his crossbowmen. After this activation, Geoff uses one of his 2 pass tokens to pass his turn. Next, I activate the Golden Company peasants and maneuver them onto the top right objective to begin scoring points this round. Geoff activates his Lannister crossbowmen, declaring an attack against Thoros' peasants, rolling 6 dice on 3+ with Sundering. The crossbowmen are at long range, so they won't get any rerolls.
Okay. So I've got 6 with no rerolls hitting on 3s. Reroll that. Okay, that is a hit still. So 5 with Sundering.
5 on 6s. So that is 5.
Okay.
And then morale is.
He automatically passes, right?
No, because they're a 6 and he
Okay.
makes them a 4. So they're close. If he was in the Relore Faithful, they'd be like a dragon morale. And then she brings him to a 3. So
it is possible, but
almost. So he passes, and he'll get another fate token. I then activate Thoros' peasants and throw all caution to the wind, marching them forward onto the center objective, hoping to retain control of it until the end of the round to gain a victory point. I then reverse time a little bit, playing a copy of Take Up the Sword to take a morale test and either heal wounds or place tokens on one of Geoff's units. In response, Geoff plays a copy of Counterplot, and since he controls both the Crown and the Wealth Zone, the Counterplot is automatically successful without a dice roll. Geoff then activates his Lannister Guardsmen, moving them onto the bottom left objective. I activate my Golden Company Elephant and leave him where he is within the forest. Geoff then activates his High Sparrow Honor Guard and declares a charge against Thoros' injured peasant unit. The charge is successful, although the unit charged through a corpse pile, so it will lose rerolls. Geoff aligns 50% on the peasants and plays his Wrath of the Warrior Tactics card. He passes the required morale test of the card and gains +1 to hit and Sundering. The Sundering is pointless because the peasants are already at a 6+ armor save, but the +1 to hit cancels out the peasant's disrupt ability. For his Honor Guard's attack ability, Geoff chooses rerolls to cancel out the hindering effect of charging through the corpse pile. Geoff is then rolling 7 dice on a 3+.
Hitting on 3s. Make sure you get the right amount. Yep, sorry. Okay, they're all good. So
7, all right.
7
Gonna need a 6 or 2 here. Nope. Thoros is killed from the attack, and to add insult to injury, I forget to place a weakened and vulnerable token on the Honor Guard as a result of the Ghost's influence on Thoros. Losing Thoros so early was a big punch to the gut, but it was 100% my fault for throwing him up the field so carelessly. The poor guy never even got an attack off. At the start of the round, I laughed off, discarding the Last Kiss card, but if I had kept it, I could have now moved Thoros' attachment to one of my other units after his unit was blown up. Joke's on me. Geoff surges his Honor Guard backward, out of range of my archers, rather than pushing them onto the center objective. Next, I activate my archers and maneuver them closer to the center of the table to hopefully put some shots into the Honor Guard units in future rounds. Geoff activates his Marin Trant Honor Guard, who are just out of range to maneuver onto the top left objective, so Geoff leaves them where they are. I activate the Riders of Highgarden, and after a little shimmying, I decide to leave them where they are to score a point at the end of the round.
Roll mine first, and
okay.
All right, so 3 on 3 up. I did not fail any.
It's D3 plus 3 or plus 2? Okay.
Yeah. So for these guys, so that'll be
4 on 5s. Take 4.
Okay.
So that's 2 horses now.
And these guys 4 as well.
6s. All right, not bad.
Cool. Very nice.
So for round 2, Geoff is first player, and he begins the round by activating Joffrey NCU and claiming the Wealth Zone, denying me its healing ability. He then replaces the healing effect with a shot from the wall, shooting my Riders of Highgarden. It is now the point where I am remembering that this is possible, and there's a significant pucker factor happening on the table right now as I'm imagining my peasants and riders getting just peppered by the wall. Seeing that my riders are very likely to die from wall shots this round, I begin my turn by using a Ravella token, discarding Sudden Retreat, and healing 2 wounds to the riders and removing their weakened token. For my activation, I activate Peter NCU and claim the maneuver zone again, but use Peter's last token to gain the effect of the swords again, selecting the Brotherhood archers to shift up and fire into the High Sparrow's Honor Guard unit. 7 on 3s.
Hey. So 4 on 4s, or 4 on 3s, let's see. So I'm good.
Geoff activates Pycelle NCU, using one of his tokens to weaken my archers. Pycelle then, surprise, surprise, claims the swords and replaces the effect with another shot from the wall into my Riders of Highgarden.
So I got 2 saves, nice.
So 1 more. I next activate the Ghost of Highheart NCU and claim the Tactics Zone. I draw 2 cards and I place a weakened token on the High Sparrow's guard unit. At the start of Geoff's turn, I play But the Realm Remains, the Brotherhood's quest card. I attach it to the Brotherhood archers. So if another unit of mine dies, this will prevent the archers from receiving any tokens. For his activation, Geoff places Tyrion on the Crown Zone, zapping my Riders of Highgarden, but playing a Hear Me Roar card, giving them an additional -2 morale modifier for a total of -3 to their roll, and +2 wounds on failure between Hear Me Roar and Joffrey's influence.
From
one from the crown. Okay, so they go from a 6 to a 9.
Yep. Oh, well, should have took the shots.
At the start of my friendly turn, I burn another Ravella token to try to keep the riders in the game, discarding a copy of Regroup and Reform and healing them for 2 wounds. For my activation, I activate the Brotherhood archers and shoot again into the High Sparrow's Honor Guard unit. I'm rolling 7 dice on 3+ with a weakened token. 7 on 3, they are weakened.
Okay, I'll go ahead and use the weakened on this one.
Okay.
Okay, 3. Looking for 3s. Okay, lose 1. And now I am on 5s. So I lose 1 more. So down a ring.
For Geoff's next activation, he activates the Lannister Guardsmen and just maneuvers them slightly, but keeps them firmly in control of that bottom objective. I activate my Golden Company Peasants and just leave them where they are, in control of that upper right objective. Geoff activates his Meryn Trant Honor Guard and maneuvers them cautiously forward. I activate my Riders of Highgarden and have to decide whether to continue to sit on that bottom objective and get shot to death, but perhaps score once more, or get them out of there and try to take some offensive action with them at some point in this game. I elect to do the latter, and I send them off the point and toward the center of the board in support of the units there. Geoff next activates his Lannister Crossbowmen and maneuvers them forward into range of the Riders of Highgarden for next round. My last activation is the Elephant, and seeing that the game is starting to slip away from me, I decide to charge the Elephant in rather than allow Geoff to preemptively charge the Elephant early next round. I roll for the charge and am successful. The Elephant will roll 7 dice on 3+ with rerolls. Opponents cannot roll defense dice against these attacks, but effects that block hits could still come into play.
So 7 on 3s, 3 rolls.
All right, and just leave
Reroll.
more. Okay, 6. I'll try Protection of the Father.
Okay.
So, no, I block one of them. So
Okay, so 5.
it's 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 5.
And it's vicious.
Okay, so that puts me at 7, I believe. So at least I passed that. So,
For the final activation of the round, Geoff activates his High Sparrow Honor Guard unit and marches them up onto the center objective to guarantee he scores a victory point from it at the end of the round, and to threaten a very easy charge into my archers next round.
okay, so for there, you get 3.
On 6. And you will get 4.
Is that for them?
Oh, that's for them. Yeah, they don't take any, only the
Oh, yeah, that's
side
right.
objectives.
Okay, so I'm good on this side.
I begin round 4 as first player and activate the Ghost of Highheart NCU and claim the maneuver zone to move my Riders of Highgarden out of firing range of Geoff's crossbowmen. Delaying moving them even for one turn could result in the Riders just getting absolutely destroyed on Geoff's first activation. Geoff activates Pycelle NCU using his last token to weaken my archers. Pycelle claims the Wealth Stone and then heals Marin Trant's Honor Guard for 3 wounds. I activate Peter Baelish NCU and claim the swords, selecting my archers to take a shot at the High Sparrow Honor Guard. The archers shift 2 inches to the right, putting them inside the forest in case Geoff charges them. I then shoot the Honor Guard with 7 dice on 3+ and a weaken token.
7 dice on 3s.
Okay.
I am weakened though.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and spin the weaken.
Okay.
Okay, so 3 on 3s. Okay, failed 1. And then that puts me at 5 again. Okay, pass that one at least. Okay.
Geoff next activates Joffrey NCU, claiming the Crown Zone but replacing that zone's effect with a Bribery Tactics card. Geoff places Bribery on my Brotherhood archers, reducing their morale by 1 and forcing them to use their lowest attack die value when attacking. At the start of my friendly turn, I use the last Ravella token to heal my riders for 2 wounds, bringing them to full ranks. I discard a Knights of the Hollow Hill card as a condition of Ravella's heal effect. Ravella then claims the Tactic Zone, allowing me to draw 2 cards and then place a weakened token on the Marin Trant Honor Guard. Geoff then uses his second pass token to pass his turn. I activate my Brotherhood archers and attack at my lowest attack die value into the High Sparrow Honor Guard. Before I attack, I shift 2 inches to the right, moving deeper into the forest. I'll be attacking with 4 dice at 3+ to hit.
Shoot with 4 dice on 3s.
Okay, so 3. Looking for 3s. Lost 1 more. Looking for 5. Lost 2 more. Oh, jeez. There.
Geoff activates his High Sparrow Honor Guard and plays Mercy of the Mother, removing the weakened token and taking a morale test. He fails the morale test, so he only heals 1 wound from the card. For his action, Geoff moves the Honor Guard back a bit, more comfortably on the center objective. I next activate my Riders of Highgarden and go for a high-risk, high-reward play. I maneuver them forward and attempt a frontal charge into the High Sparrow's Honor Guard. I hope to be able to knock them out and then wheel around into the flank of one of Geoff's other remaining offensive units. The charge is successful, and I attack with 9 dice on 3+ with rerolls and sundering.
9 dice.
All but
Okay.
1. So
8 sundering.
2, 4, 6, 8. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 that were failures and 4 successes. So Just a high sparrow standing
All right.
alone.
The way he likes it.
Maybe they'll pass the test now.
Yeah.
Guess so.
That's all it took. Losing almost the entire unit. Now watch, he's going to be a complete Chad.
Yeah, he's just gonna stand there. That's all you got.
Jeff activates his Marintrant Honor Guard and attacks the elephant before my peasants can charge in and disrupt them. Because of the Marintrant attachment, my elephant would become panicked and weaken before the attack. I attempt to play my second Knights of the Hollow Hill card to block this ability from taking effect, since I consider it an enemy ability that is targeting my unit. Jeff isn't sure that the ability is targeting my unit, and rather than us spending time searching through various targeting articles and Reddit posts, we decide to just roll a die and see if the card goes through. Jeff wins the roll, so I don't play the card, and the elephant picks up the 2 tokens, and by extension, the Honor Guard get the extra attack abilities from the Honor Guard's ability. If anybody knows for sure how this interaction should have gone, please let us know in the comment section so I can add it as a pinned comment. Jeff attacks the elephant with 7 dice on 3+ with rerolls, sundering, and vicious.
7. I do have a weakened token. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll use the weakened token.
I guess I didn't need to do the rerolls in that. No, drop 1. So
Okay.
sundering and
Is that 6?
vicious.
Okay, 6 on 4s.
Okay, so
That's
it didn't
not good.
matter.
So I take 4. And vicious, I'm on 6.
So, and I think you're in range of that.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, 9 up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, takes the 2.
I'm going to play Azora High. It basically just means I take 1 wound.
Okay.
So, suffer maximum of 1 wound from failing the panic test.
And if it targets your man, okay, so just 1 wound.
Yeah.
I'll let it go through.
The elephant ends up taking 5 wounds from the attack, leaving him on 3 wounds remaining. After the attack, I play Sudden Retreat to pull the elephant out of combat and spin him around to finish off the High Sparrows unit in the center. Understanding the gravity of this action, Jeff decides to use his final counterplot of the game, having used 1 from his hand earlier, and then used his once per game Tyrion effect to pull that one out of his discard. So due to zone control, the counterplot automatically passes and Sudden Retreat is cancelled. For my turn, I decide to continue the late game aggression and declare a charge with my Golden Company peasants, taking them off of the objective but hopefully contributing to the destruction of the Honor Guard. The charge is successful, and because I charged over the wall, my flank sundering bonus will be cancelled out and I will not get charge rerolls. So with gang up active, I'll be rolling 5 dice on a 4+ to hit, but with no rerolls.
So 5 on 4s, no rerolls. So 3.
3. Okay. Looking for 3s. Dropped 1. And okay, and they should be good because they don't have vicious or anything, right?
No vicious.
Jeff next activates his crossbowman. Due to the hedge, the riders of Highgarden are hidden from the crossbowman's line of sight, so Jeff decides to maneuver them to a more advantageous position for next round. My last activation is the Golden Company Elephant. I have a choice to make: to retreat the elephant out and spin it around to be in line of sight of the High Sparrow and Marintrant's unit to set up a charge next round, or just to stomp on Marintrant's unit while engaged. I can't kill Marintrant's unit, but with a little luck I can get him really close. So I decide to stomp, so the attack will be 5 dice on a 2+ with vicious and a weakened token.
Okay, I will use the weakened.
Okay.
Didn't matter.
Yeah, so 4.
Okay.
4 guys go down.
Nothing I can do about that.
And vicious
3.
and corpse pile.
Yep. So 5, 6, 7. That should be good. So it was negated.
Negated, yeah.
And there are 5s.
For Jeff's last activation of the round, he activates the Lannister Guardsman and just makes a very slight maneuver on the point.
And shots out. Take
So all 5. Looking for 3s. So you finally got a few of them.
All right.
Geoff begins round 4 by activating Joffrey NCU and claiming the swords. He selects the High Sparrows unit to attack the Riders of Highgarden. Geoff then plays the Wrath of the Warrior. He rolls for the morale test, passes, giving his unit +1 to hit and sundering. For the Honor Guard's attack ability, he chooses Vicious. So this attack pool will be 5 dice on 2+ with sundering and Vicious. The High Sparrow will add his intimidating presence for panic modifiers as well.
5 hitting on 2s with sundering, so 4 hits.
4 hits. Okay. On 6s. 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And then panic on
Out of range, so -3.
-3, intimidating presence, vicious. So go from a 6 to
Oh, sorry, and I was gonna put him on there.
okay, 6 to a 9.
Yep. All right.
So that I think kills them then, because
the Riders are destroyed by the failed panic test, so that Geoff then plays Fealty to the Crown to heal 4 wounds back to his High Sparrows unit. I activate the Ghost of Highheart NCU and then claim the Wealth Zone. I place her influence on the Golden Company Elephant and convert the Wealth Zone effect into a motivated by coin attack from the Brotherhood Archers. They'll shoot into the High Sparrow Honor Guard with 7 dice on 3+. Before they shoot, they'll shift 2 inches to the right, thereby charge blocking the Honor Guard, who now won't be able to fit 50% into the front of their tray.
Shooting it is
7 on 3s. What were these? Oh, these are for the Riders.
Yep.
7 on 3s.
Okay, looks pretty good. 6 on 3s. So drop 2. 1, 2. All right.
And then just net neutral, I think, because you're. Oh
Yeah.
no, wait, they're not. There's no vicious. Oh yeah, but -1 and +1.
So it'll be
Yeah,
5. So they really don't like the sparrow.
At the start of the enemy turn, I use the Archer's Deceitful Reposition Order, which I've forgotten to use once or twice already this game. I maneuver them behind the elephant and comfortably into the flank of the High Sparrow Honor Guard.
First, take
Geoff activates Pycelle, and in response to the movements of the Archers, he claims the maneuver zone to have the High Sparrow's Honor Guard perform a left face so that they can position themselves to charge the elephant
here.
or receive a front shot from the Archers. I activate the elephant, and seeing the writing on the wall for him and wanting to get at least one more stomp before he's killed by either unit of the Honor Guard, I have no available means to heal him, so this may be his last shot at glory. Since he's in a gang up, he'll roll 5 dice at 2+ to hit.
And he's still got gang up, so he's got 5 dice.
Yep.
On 2+.
All right.
4.
So, protection of the father. So I block 1. So
Okay, so that's 3.
3. He's vicious, so he might get him. Let's get some higher rolling dice here and here.
The Honor Guard are destroyed, and I surge the elephant forth, ending up in a position outside of the line of sight of both the crossbowmen and the High Sparrow Honor Guard. Geoff next activates the High Sparrow's Honor Guard unit and declares a charge against my Brotherhood Archers. The charge is successful. With Braun's ability active and Geoff charging through the forest, the Archer's armor goes from a 6+ to a 4+. As such, Geoff chooses to give the Honor Guard Sundering, so they'll be throwing 5 dice with Sundering and rerolls.
Sundering is my ability.
Okay.
But I get rerolls, so okay, so 4.
4 on 5s, I think, right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
Save
help
1.
a little.
Go down to there. And then I am a 6. Braun makes them a 5.
And then back to the 6.
And back to 6 because of intimidating presence. Okay.
Not even close.
So just 3 for now.
Yep.
After some debate about my next move, I activate Ravella and claim the Tactics Zone. I draw 2 cards and make the Honor Guard vulnerable, hoping to improve my odds of getting wounds through on that unit later in the round. Geoff activates Tyrion and claims the crown. He selects the peasants to suffer a panic test at -2 due to the crown zone effect and the nearby corpse pile.
Into them with vicious. So.
Okay, so 6 goes to 7, goes to 8.
Yep.
Very good.
They do not care.
After passing their panic test, the peasants heal 1 wound from the Golden Company officer's Dauntless ability, and then they'll make the Honor Guard weakened from the Boisterous Charisma ability of the officer. The Brotherhood Archers now activate and declare an attack against the Honor Guard. They realign prior to the attack, allowing them to fully cover the top right objective. Their melee stats are nothing to write home about at 5 dice on a 5+ to hit.
Hey, you got one.
Might be enough. We'll see. No.
Let's see. Do I risk the vulnerable, or do I just hang on to the vulnerable? I think I'm just going to hang on to the vulnerable.
Geoff activates his guardsmen, and they continue to babysit the bottom left objective. I activate my last unit for the round, my peasants, and maneuver them back onto the top left objective to take their chances against the castle walls next round. For Geoff's last activation, he marches his crossbowmen up onto the center objective and pivots them around to put my injured elephant in their crosshairs.
Want to do this, or should we do the shots first?
Sure.
Okay, so for them, it's all 5.
So 4.
And your peasants will be 3. So, let's save 1.
These guys have been like the most durable unit that I've had so far.
I noticed. It just won't die, won't give up.
Yeah.
Just hang around.
Over there.
And, okay. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm good.
At the start of the round, I played the Forgotten Fellowship. This is unfortunately the first time all game I've drawn a copy of this card. I select the Brotherhood Archers to perform a retreat action. They retreat from the engagement with the High Sparrow's Honor Guard unit, but they remain on the objective while also getting into the flank of the Honor Guard. Geoff then plays a copy of A Lannister Pays Debts at the start of the turn, attaching that card to the Lannister Crossbowman. For my activation, I activate the Ghost of Highheart. Once I activate the NCU, Geoff plays Intrigue and Subterfuge to cause the Ghost to lose all of her abilities for the round. She will therefore be unable to influence any of my units. I claim the swords with the Ghost and select the Archers to perform a free ranged attack on the Honor Guard. Since I'm in the Honor Guard's flank arc, I will gain Precision and Vicious. So the attack pool will be 6 dice on 3+ with Precision and Vicious.
Could be the end of them. Nope, but they hit
Yeah,
all,
hit
of
all
them.
of them.
So
In the
2,
flank.
4, 6. On 4s, I need to save half of them. Nope.
All right.
Didn't even save that. So the Sparrow
Well,
finally
he stuck
goes
around for a long time.
Sparrow finally goes down.
Killing the Honor Guard brings the score to a closer 8-7 Lannisters. Geoff next activates Joffrey NCU and claims the Wealth Zone, healing the crossbowmen back to full and removing their weakened token. After several minutes of deliberation on whether to activate and charge the crossbowmen with the elephant or claim the Tactics Zone with an NCU and weaken the crossbowmen, I decide to give the people what they want, which is an elephant charge. So I YOLO into the crossbowmen, knowing full well that they won't be destroyed by the attack and that they'll certainly just retreat using the maneuver zone and then fire back at the elephant. But the people love a good elephant charge, even a hopeless one through a corpse pile, so here you go. When I activate the elephant, Geoff plays Intrigue and Subterfuge. The elephant's abilities are all innate, so he won't lose any of those abilities, but the elephant has to take a panic test and could take a couple of more wounds from the test. The elephant now charges and is successful.
Do the roll.
I don't
At
think
this point,
there's any
we
way I
remember
can
that
get
the
off
elephant
this
had a panic token, and I agree to re-roll the panic test from Intrigue and Subterfuge. I go on to pass that re-roll though.
All right, goes in.
For my attack, I will roll 7 dice on 3+ with Vicious and no re-rolls.
Oh,
and 7 dice on 3s, no rerolls.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So 5.
5 of them. Panic test at 8,
Vicious.
9, 10. So see if I can roll like you. I cannot. So they lose 2 more.
Geoff next activates Pycelle NCU and claims the maneuver zone, wisely retreating his crossbowman out of melee with the elephant. I then activate Ravella NCU and claim the tactics zone, drawing 2 cards and weakening the crossbowman, hoping I can get really lucky and survive their upcoming volley into my elephant. Geoff next activates Tyrion NCU, claiming the crown but replacing it with the ability to take shots from the wall at my archers.
Okay.
4.
Yep.
On 6. Take 4.
Down to Braun.
At the start of my friendly turn, I play Regroup and Reform. My archers are down to 1 wound remaining and will certainly die of shots from the wall if I leave them on the objective. I have a chance here to maybe take a risk and keep them alive if Geoff rolls poorly and I roll well. I think the best I'm hoping for at this point is a tie, but I'd prefer a tie to a loss. I remove 1 model from the peasants and restore 1 to the archers. I then activate the archers and pass with them remaining on the point. I also tell Geoff that I'll do the same thing with the peasants since there's really nothing else that they can do other than just move off of the objective, but I'm going to have them stay there. Geoff then activates his guardsmen and passes with them, keeping them on the objective. Since I had already declared my intentions with the peasants, Geoff then takes his next turn, activating the crossbowmen and playing Mercy of the Mother to remove the weakened token from them. Geoff could take a morale test to restore some wounds, but it really won't matter since this is the last activation of the game, and the attack dice would be the same. So Geoff will now attack the elephant with 6 dice on 3+, with Sundering and rerolls since he's in close range of the elephant.
So I'll hit but 1, but I am in a short range, so 6.
All right, 6 with Sundering. I am on a 4. 6, 4 up. And that does it.
Okay. All right.
The elephant finally goes down, bringing Geoff to 9 points. He will then go to 10 points from the guardsman capturing the bottom objective. Geoff now rolls for shots from the wall to see if he can kill either the peasants or the archers.
Might get more points from those guys getting killed.
Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, they're fine. And these guys are 4. And we just got to see if Braun.
So Braun got how many hits did he get?
4.
4?
Yep.
Okay, so I got to get a few 6s here.
Oh.
Okay, so Braun goes. So you end up at 11, then, right? Okay.
Still a very close game.
Yeah. Hey, good game.
Good game.
So the peasants are safe, but the archers go down, taking the final score to 11-9 Lannisters. Now let's very quickly go through the round-by-round action and then discuss my thoughts on how this game went. Alright, so looking at the end of round 1, not a whole lot of surprises here. My units more or less move up in a fairly straight line, as does Geoff's. His guardsmen are taking their position over there to comfortably just camp out on that objective for the rest of the game. I'm moving up my riders to camp out on that closest objective to me for at least 1 round. And then we're going to move into round 2. So for round 2, my archers, or rather my riders, have taken a whole bunch of shots from the wall. They're not feeling very good at all. I then throw Thoros away at that center objective. And now I'm trying to kind of move those archers back a little bit closer to something else friendly so that they're not going to just get curb stomped themselves. And then my Golden Company peasants are on that other objective over there. They actually got pretty lucky in their roll, their wall shot roll, so they're still at full ranks. Round 3, and things are getting a little bloodier. My Riders of Highgarden had to book it out of there, otherwise they were going to get shot. My archers have just kind of been plinking away 1 or 2 or 3 wounds at a time, kind of a little bit pointlessly into those Casterly Rock Honor Guard who have been rolling really well on their armor saves. My elephant finally gets into the action, putting some wounds through on Marin Trant, and the Golden Company officer peasants are still just chilling there on that objective. At the end of round 4, the High Sparrows unit I was like on death's doorstep basically. The Riders of Highgarden were really hoping to knock them out and give me some more options and kind of keep me in the game a little bit more. But they couldn't push through enough wounds, so now they're just stuck in that melee there. And my elephant is still engaged and just been kind of stomping a little bit on those honor guard who have been pretty resilient. And then my archers have been just kind of moving ever so slightly into that forest little by little by little to the point now that they're unchargeable. But still, they've been very underwhelming this game, not really putting through as many wounds as I was hoping they would. The end of round 4, my riders go down, which severely limits my maneuverability and attack options at this point. Really, offensively, all I've got left is probably the archers, who have been quite disappointing at this point in the game, not really doing a whole lot of damage to anything. Um, Granted, they are shooting into 3+ and 4+ armor with no keywords really and no tokens on my opponent. My elephant, however, he's been putting in some pretty decent work trying to carry this game on his big back. Um, and now he's staring down at those crossbowmen, hoping not to get absolutely blasted in the face. And here we are at the end of the game. Very bloody game. That's, 6 combat units killed. The guardsmen just sat there all game. The crossbowmen kind of had a really slow early game, but then put some work in. I guess they put some work in really putting wounds in on Thoros, and then killing the elephant. So they did decently, I guess. The Golden Company peasants probably scored more points than any other unit in my roster, and really weathered those wall shots a lot better than I thought they would. That's probably mostly up to Geoff not rolling very high when shooting that unit. But here we are at the end of the game, score of 11-9, and Geoff took the win. All right, so let's talk for a moment about how this game went and what we could have done differently to affect the outcome. First off, I think the game mode was definitely not ideal given my mostly 6+ armor saves. I will say, though, that when we rolled for the game mode, Geoff was a very good sport and offered to have us re-roll it since Honed and Ready would be so punishing for my list. I thanked him, though, but declined, since the roll was really just up to luck, and I may very well find myself in a similar situation in a tournament setting later, so I wanted to kind of just adapt and overcome, or attempt to. I don't think Honed and Ready was an insurmountable obstacle for my list at all, and as you can see from the close final score, there were plenty of other decisions that I made that could have affected the outcome in my favor, I believe. So speaking of bad decisions, I really blew it with Thoros early in the game. I should have just hung back for the first couple of rounds, at least while the Honor Guard moved forward and dictated the initial engagement. At that point, I could have brought my 2 response pieces, the Elephant and the Riders of Highgarden, to bear against Geoff's attacking forces. I had initially thought about keeping Thoros back and just using his faith ability to heal other units of mine while Geoff's units failed panic tests. I don't know what I was thinking, putting him in the crosshairs of the crossbowmen and in easy charge range of the Casterly Rock Honor Guard. Apparently Bloodlust got the better of me, as it often does. I think Thoros and his cards were a complete non-factor in this game. I don't think I played a single Thoros card, and I just discarded them or used them for Ravella tokens, or for Ravella heals. So Thoros' unit never attacked and never used any faith abilities. So you could almost say that having Thoros on the thumbnail is just clickbait or false advertising, because this was almost like a commanderless Brotherhood Army, basically. Throughout the game, I didn't have much in the way of healing for my army. I ended up dumping all of my Ravella tokens into the Riders of Highgarden just to keep them standing on the objective. It may have been smarter for me to forget about that objective and just focus on bringing their lances to bear against either the crossbowmen or the High Sparrow's Honor Guard. Another option would have been to juke that whole flank entirely and swing back around to my right flank to support the Elephant and the Golden Company peasants to bring overwhelming force to bear there, away from the crossbows. That would have left Thoros and the archers pretty exposed, though, so it may not have been such a good idea. I've used this strategy with dragons in the past, though, with good effect, but dragons have smaller bases and are easier to weave around, between, and over units. Geoff played a good game using his cards at optimal times. His counterplots were well timed, especially the one that blocked my elephant from swift retreating from the melee. That retreat would have almost certainly enabled me to pop the High Sparrow's Honor Guard much earlier. The High Sparrow's tactics cards were very useful here, especially in the case of Protection of the Father being used to prevent otherwise unblockable elephant wounds. Granted, I think Geoff failed both of his morale checks on that card, but they still blocked a couple of wounds. Big thanks to Geoff for the game and for agreeing to be featured on the channel again. Well, that does it for Battle Report number 29. For the next one, we'll be in Season 6, or whatever they're going to call it. I hope to have a battle report out relatively soon after the update drops, so be on the lookout for that. I also have an upcoming painting tutorial in the works, along with some other fun stuff. Thank Thanks for making it this far into the video, and until next time, this is Randall signing off.